One who does not comply to conventional standards or typical ideals of masculinity. The Sigma male is a guy who has the fortitude to stand alone. He is strong-minded and independent, with a calm self-confidence that distinguishes him from other men. They prefer to rely solely on their own strength and resources rather than always waiting for help despite his advantages, and he doesn't seek the spotlight or show off because he knows his value and doesn't need to prove it to anyone. He is comfortable in the shadows and enjoys observing everything that goes on around him. There are some negative aspects associated with this way of life. Without further ado, let's take a look at 9 significant cons of being a Sigma male. Number 1. His refusal to adapt poses a potential risk since it sets a bad example. In a society that places a high importance on conformity and uniformity, being a Sigma male is not necessarily viewed in a favorable light by the general populace. This can lead to misunderstandings and negative judgments about one's character, and while some may admire Sigma's strength and independence, others may be put off by his distinctness. Society often views those who choose to stand out from the crowd in any way as strange, different, or even dangerous. This can lead to misunderstandings and negative judgments about one's character. The capacity to stand out may be a double-edged sword since it can cause you to stand out in a positive way, but it can also cause others to ridicule or judge you because of it. If you want to be able to resist the unfavorable comments of other people, you need to develop a thick skin and be emotionally resilient. While this may be a necessary sacrifice for some, it may have a negative impact on the life of a Sigma male. Many people have succumbed to the demands of conformity and given up their independence in order to fit in, particularly in circumstances where originality is perceived as a weakness. Number 2. He has trouble placing his faith in other people. The Sigma symbol, his unique perspective, makes it difficult for him to understand why someone would take an action that seems illogical to him. He may also fear that people will try to manipulate or deceive him and he won't be able to see it until it's too late. While this kind of caution is understandable, it can be a burden if he never gives anyone the benefit of the doubt. Therefore, he should strive to give others the benefit of the doubt more often. The problem is that when a Sigma has been burned by trusting someone, it can be difficult for him to open up and fully trust again, especially if it was someone close to him. In this case, the best solution is to take things slow and only open up when he feels comfortable enough. Although it's difficult to fully trust someone after being let down, it's important not to isolate yourself and to keep in mind that not everyone is out to hurt you. Number 3. He had the ability to impose logic on himself and other people. The intellectual and analytical character of the Sigma male might cause him to place an excessive amount of stress on logic and reason, which could result in him forcing his own beliefs of what is good or wrong onto the scenario, even if it does not match the circumstances. This kind of thinking may be beneficial when making an educated choice, but it can be harmful when used to invalidate someone else's perspective or point of view. This can drive the Sigma man to be unduly critical and judgmental of himself and others, even when he does not want to behave in this manner. By embracing ambiguity and accepting that there isn't always a single right answer, he can foster a greater understanding of himself and others. Although using logic to make an informed decision is fine, Sigma male should be aware of when he is forcing it onto himself or others. Accepting that not everything has a logical explanation or solution can be difficult. Sometimes the finest solutions may be found by ignoring logic entirely and instead paying attention to his gut and feelings. Number 4. He has a keen ability to see hypocrisy in others. Having the ability to recognize when someone is not being genuine can be both a blessing and a curse for the person who sees it. On the one hand, it can help him avoid negative influences and potentially dangerous situations because he can easily recognize when someone is not being genuine. On the other hand, seeing how many people fake their emotions and intentions can make the person cynical and distressed. You might think that having the ability to recognize when someone is fake would always be an asset, but there are times when it's better. Sigma male needs to find the balance between using his intuition to protect himself and being open enough to give people a chance. He should also recognize that some people may hide their true feelings for good reasons and can be valuable allies despite appearances. Of course, he should never let anyone take advantage of him, but it's important to be aware that there are different kinds of deception, and not all of them are malicious. While it's really difficult to weigh the pros and cons of different options, Sigma male needs to find the balance. Number 5. His unconventional way of thinking might be stressful to others. His ability to come up with creative solutions and find new ways of doing things that most people would overlook gives him an advantage in many different situations. However, this can also lead to conflict as other people may not agree with his ideas and think they're too radical or dangerous, while it is necessary to be open-minded and consider different approaches. His ability to think outside the box gives him an advantage in many different situations. This allows him to come up with creative solutions and find new ways of doing things that would be overlooked by most people. Unfortunately, it can be difficult to avoid conflicts like these when you are surrounded by people who don't think in the same way as you. Alpha males may try to take advantage of this and manipulate the situation. Sigma male must be careful not to let his own ideas become a source of tension. He must find the balance between using his unique perspective to come up with fresh solutions and respecting the opinions of others. Otherwise, this can lead to misunderstandings and unwanted conflict. Number 6. Other people behave towards him as though he were an outcast. Sigma male is typically a loner, preferring to go his own way and relying on his own strength whenever possible. The fact that he can be so independent can be intimidating for some people who aren't used to it. As a result, they may treat him as an outsider or someone who doesn't fit in with the rest of the group. However, the reality is that Sigma can be just as social and friendly as anyone else. He just chooses to go his own way rather than follow what everyone else. Number 7. Due to the unorthodox attitude he takes to life, some people may have doubts about him. When confronted with the unknown, most individuals adopt a cautious attitude, and Sigma's unconventional approach to life is no exception to this rule. People have a tendency to question his judgments and talents because of his independent thinking and willingness to challenge established norms, which may be irritating because of how he operates. Sigma man needs to find a method to be honest to who he is and not let the views of others influence him. Cloud his judgment. He must also use his intelligence and practical experience to prove that his unconventional approach can be effective. However, they won't do it by words but rather by results. The traditional alpha type may be respected for his power and status, but the Sigma man can gain respect through his intelligence and problem-solving ability. Cloud his judgment. Not following the crowd is sometimes seen as a risk, but taking risks can bring great rewards as long as Sigma remain cautious. Number 8. His independence might give the impression that he is arrogant. This is due to the fact that he isn't scared to voice his viewpoint or speak up for himself, especially when everyone around him is attempting to do the wrong thing. This can make him look annoying or overly confident of himself, even when he is trying to do the right thing. His lack of fear makes him appear this way. Reliance on others for approval and validation can be seen as a sign that he doesn't care what anyone thinks of him. But this is a misjudgment. In reality, he doesn't need the external validation most people require. While being misunderstood is a part of life, it can be difficult to deal with when people assume the wrong thing about you due to your independent attitude. Even worse, these assumptions can seriously affect many aspects of life. What may seem like a small assumption can have a significant impact. Number 9. He gives too much thought to things. The Sigma man has a tendency to overanalyze every circumstance and has a high propensity to become caught in a loop of overthinking, which can result in procrastination and indecision, both of which inhibit him from moving on with his plans and accomplishing his objectives. This requires practice and a little bit of courage, but it can be done. Overthinking things can sometimes be helpful, but too much analysis without action can be counterproductive. While Sigma should still take his time to think things through and make sure he's making the right decisions, overthinking things can sometimes be helpful, but too much analysis without action can be counterproductive. Overthinking things can sometimes be counterproductive. While Sigma should still take his time to think as long as he is certain in his capacity to trust himself and has done the required measures to prepare, it is all right for him to just go for it. If he does not know when it is time to take a leap of faith, this might lead to frustration and tension, making it difficult for him to go forward. Analyzing every detail may be a great way to obtain an accurate view of the situation, but it should never hinder you from taking action. By knowing this balance, the Sigma man can use his present abilities productively instead of letting them become a barrier. Analyzing every detail can be an excellent way to acquire an accurate picture of the situation.
And do share with your friends so we may continue to create them. To see more videos like this, subscribe and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Additionally, make sure to check out our other videos. Thank you for watching.